जो चाहती दुनिया है वो मुझसे नहीं होगा, जो चाहती दुनिया है वो मुझसे नहीं होगा, समझौता कोई ख्वाब के बदले नहीं होगा. I think this couplet perfectly sums up the enhanced artistic pursuit of Sanjay Leela Bhansali, whose latest film, Gangubai Kathiawadi, is winning hearts all across the world. It's a huge pleasure to have you back with us on Bollywood Hungama.
Thank you for it.
And sir, as we were talking a short while back, you start the film with Ghalib. You also say that जिन्हें नाज है हिंद पे वो कहाँ है. You're obviously giving a homage to Guru Dutt and Sahil Ludhianvi. So many a times of late we tend to hear these statements that be it poetry, be it writing, just try and simplify it so that आम लोगों के समझ में नहीं आएगा. But as you have proved that the film is being loved by everyone, do you feel that it's important that an artist should say what he wants to say, he or she wants to say, instead of really worrying about the fact that लोगों को ये समझ में आएगा कि नहीं आएगा?
Absolutely. That is why you're the director, that people come and see your film or they come and see your work, because you have the freedom to express yourself fully without limiting yourself with will people understand, what will happen to the box office, will the producer agree, will the distributor get rattled. I think if Ghalib's poetry is still relevant today and it's still sung by a lot of young people, if not too many, not the way it should be, but it's relevant today. And people are receptive to new things. We keep blocking ourselves by saying that the audience को समझ नहीं आएगा. Audience को उसके essence समझ में आएगी. Audience जाके उसकी मेहनत करेगी खोजने की कि क्या बोला था, in case they don't understand the language. That participation of people of keeping that poetry alive 400 years, 300 years ago, is our job as artists to keep that culture alive, to keep that poetry alive, to keep those poets and what they said alive, because a good poet or a good poetry never dies. It's always relevant in the universe for all times. When Sahir Saab wrote Jine Naaz Hai Hind Par Kahan Hai, which was shot in the brothels in Pyasa by Guru Dutt, which is one of the most beautiful songs ever shot by a director, according to me. Every time that song would come and I would see it on the screen, or even if I saw it out of context, just as a song, it would move me so much, because here was a sensitive poet like Sahil Ludhianvi who wrote such a strong line, Jine Naaz Hai Hind Par Wo Kahan Hai. He explained the state of these women, and every time you hear it, your eyes well up if you sensitively want to hear it. And here was a director who shot it so delicately and fragilely that, it's one of the most important songs, and the song that I have watched the most in my life. As a student of cinema, you keep watching important landmark songs or important landmark films or scenes by the great filmmakers. So this is somewhere keeping a tribute to those great people and keeping their legacy alive. And I hope more people go and maybe visit what Ghalib Saab wrote or what Sahir Saab wrote, and go deeper into what they've written and understand what they've written.
Of course. Sir, right now everyone is talking about the fact that with the sort of opening that the film has taken, that in a way Bollywood is being revived. A lot of people, they're extremely happy with the entire celebration that is going on. So I spoke to the restaurant guys at one of the theaters where I saw the film, and they were very happy. They were excitedly telling me that पूरे weekend पे बहुत लोग आए हैं. That's wonderful. But at the same time, when I finished the film, one thing that once again came to my mind, because we followed your work, phenomenal work, sir, that you are not making the film merely for box office. This entire pursuit of art is extremely, extremely important for you. Why is it so important for you, sir?
But it has always been. I, as a child, always heard great musicians, great singers, be it on the radio, be it a record at a cousin's house. And I understood when my father trained me to listen to those things and to watch B. Shantaram and to watch Mughal Azam and to watch what an artist does to reach that art to more people, and that is why they come to the theatres. So I was shown Mughal Azam 18 times, especially for Bade Ghulam Ali Khan Saab's piece of Prem Jogan Ban Jaye and Prem Katar. That I've seen for 18 times to see, and my father would explain to me, look Bade Ghulam Ali Khan Saab at work, look at K.R. Siv Saab at work, look at the two legends over there, Madhubala and Dilip Kumar. So art became a part of my thinking of pursuing art, and I lived in a chawl, in a room which had no color. The minute you color it, the walls were so old and all the colors would vanish. It would just become a colorless wall. So for me as a child, my pursuit was, even while doing homework, of painting this wall, of finding art, of putting a frame, of doing something to make it come alive. And all that deprivation of not being able to afford art or witness it otherwise in my real life, except for hearing a song blaring from my uncle's record player from the second floor, or from the mohalla that would play. That whole pursuit became very, very strong in my mind. I had to pursue right from Khamoshi. If you look at it, I have made a film where a lot of people said, "But what are you making? You're talking of hearing impaired parents who are jealous of the daughter because she's going out in the world and she's communicating, and one day she'll leave with the man she loves." But I still made it because I thought that is what I wanted to make. And I think it is a beautiful film. Years later, somebody makes it into a film called Coda, made in the West. It's the same subject, 25 years later. So when you pursue art and you're honest to what you want to say, rather than saying it because it will bring you so much money, and it will bring you stars, and it will bring you a box office, mathematics fall into place, then those are projects. Those will never resonate with people. Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam or Khamoshi, which didn't do well at the box office, still resonates with people. Still people come and say that is your best film. So to date, I feel that when you're honest about what you want to pursue, and you're trained in listening to good music, and trained to watch good cinema, and trained in the Film Institute and meeting with filmmakers, then your artistic pursuit should be without conditions. It should not be conditional to what will happen to me as a filmmaker if this film doesn't do well or the next one doesn't do well. That fear always kills the artist in you. So when Savarya didn't do well at all at the box office, then I went to make Guzarish, in which Hrithik Roshan is on the bed without moving, where he's known for his dance or action or his great looks. But I was fearless about it. That's what I wanted to make at that point of time. Some said it was a harakiri. So I feel that today when I make Gangubai, it is again a heroine-oriented subject. It is in the brothel, a full-fledged film on a brothel. Will it work? Will it resonate with people? Yes, it will. And I feel that conviction with which you make your film, which is the most important. Budget तो आ जाता है, actors तो आ जाते हैं, पर आपका conviction कहाँ से आएगा? वो conviction चाहिए. Conviction के बगैर आप वो artist नहीं बन सकते जहाँ पे आप लोगों को कह सकते हो कि ये देखो ये भी एक art है, और हमने सारे arts को assimilate करके एक cinema में हम लोगों ने उसको पेश किया है.
Absolutely. And sir, at the moment one sees the poster, say for example, Gangubai poster is here right now. There's a typical font that you've taken for writing Gangubai. And anyone who knows your journey would know that you must have spent a lot of time and thought in even selecting that particular font.
No.
You did not?
No. It is Rahul Nanda who designed my posters, and
Right.
the first day he came, what was with this font? He says, I said, get me the design. And he got this one and this one as the first. These were all look tests. They were not even photo shoots done for the film or anything. It was look tests that first time she was getting ready to see how the costumes look. So we photographed.
Right.
And we gave it to him, and he came with this font, and after that it has not changed. And there were no other options I asked for. I knew he hit the bullseye. So when you work with very talented people around you, they make your work easier, and they take you to another level that you still talk about the fact that there is a font that worked on you and the poster had an impression on you.
Yeah.
So it is basically Rahul Nanda's genius that makes it.
So there's a very typical body language, and especially in certain portions, which is amazing as far as Alia's character is concerned. Even say Razia, for example, Vijay Raz's character, I think the body language is very, very marked. What is the relevance of a body language for you as far as just coming out with well-defined characters on the big screen?
Right now, your body language is also expressing a lot of what you are. The way you use your hands, the way you use your legs, the way you use your smile, the way you use everything. So everything is about, finally, when you speak, the body reacts to it. My body is reacting as I'm speaking to you. And the body language that they assume, for example, Alia, who suddenly walks like a brothel madam and talks like a brothel madam and stands like a girl who's defined before she became the madam, or the way Razia floats in the air with or walks from the stage to sit on the chair down. It's a very important part of a good actor. When an actor knows how to use the body, and that conveys half of the things that he wants to say beyond words. Words and dialogue is the only way to express yourself. No. How does an actor reach it through the eyes? Alia has spoken through the eyes in the whole film. It's about the eyes that are reaching out, vulnerable sometimes, shining sometimes, manipulating sometimes, angry sometimes. Look at the use of Ajay Devgan's eyes.
Yeah.
He's just a powerhouse of just not having to say something, but the way he uses his glasses or the way he stands by the car. Such a powerful man. These are all important aspects of finally creating Lala or creating Gangubai or creating Razia or see Seema Powers or see the girls in the film. They were all spectacular because they were actors who knew that the body in this particular case especially, where they have to stand by the cages in a certain way, much against their wishes, or she has to now change her body language as she meets the school principal to put up a fight against them. It's how the body is used, how the eyes are used. And these all come to the actors who are good naturally when they read a good scene and they know that this scene has a potential to express so much more. तो वो करते अपने आप. Or of course I'm there when I'm doing the readings, when I'm telling them what was in my mind, they're watching me. And they know what is happening to my eyes, what is happening. Then they go and interpret their own way, and they have the freedom to then perform their own way. So it's about a give and take, the chemistry of what is the director trying to say. Her drunk scene in the lane, alone, when she is shouting at the people in the mohalla alone in the night. I don't know if you remember that scene.
Of course.
It's such a great moment for me as what an actor did. I said 2 takes, I said, no, Alia, there's something not missing. I'm still finding that anger of all that you've gone through in a drunken state. You have to express it, and then she went for it, and then I didn't say cut. I went on this. That shot is another 1 minute long for the actual footage that we've shot. But then that is what. Look at the body language in it. Look at the intoxicated movement of the body, and yet the anger flowing out. So these are all magic moments when an actor finds his body and hands. Very difficult to use hands. What to do with the hands sometimes, and with the eyes and with the face and everything. The whole body has to perform.
Of course. So one thing that I experienced entirely as a viewer, while watching the film and after watching the film, that it seemed like a very unique confluence between the director and the artist. That is you and Alia. A lot of things you're trying to communicate through Alia, which is part of your childhood, because you've experienced a lot of all this personally. There's a lot of empathy that you have for that particular context, which definitely comes out, which is very unique as well. So if you can please tell us something about the process of literally just communicating your vision to Alia and how she
the most important
that.
was when she heard the role, she said, I can't do this role, I don't think I'm right for this role. I said, trust me, believe in me, and I believe in you. So when belief comes in, it is the biggest communication of two people, where I trust you and you trust me, and I surrender to you, I give you all, you receive all, and you give it all back. Okay. So that was the first rule, I think, of an actor and a director communicating, respect being the second one.
Of course.
Where you respect, I'm saying that I'm constructing a scene, now don't interfere. Therefore, we all respect each other and contribute and play it out to the best of our abilities. And then there comes the understanding of receiving, listening. Alia listened to all my little experiences here or there in the courthouse, and I would not give her very direct briefs, but I would read out the scene in a certain way where I'm discussing it, not even read out. But when I'm discussing, she knows what is happening to my mind, how my anger is rising, how what is happening to the delicate, fragile moments of what she's feeling. Listening, and I think good listening. When she would suggest something, I would listen. We are all listening. Shudip Chatterjee will suddenly want to light it up in a certain way. I'm listening. So we have to be good listeners. That is what again has happened between Alia and me, where she would hear me out, I would hear her out. The freedom of being allowed to be. You and I have to allow you to liberate yourself to be able to play Gangu. Who's Gangu? You don't know her. You live in Bandra, you live brought up in a convent school, you don't know what that world is. But for her to then imbibe and start understanding what is that anger in the voice, where do I bring my voice, what is the soul of the voice that I bring. So all that we started talking about, working out, how to stand at the door. So that give and take, and with Alia what happens, an actor has to inspire the director to come and say things. When Ranveer walks into the set, I get very inspired. Let's do this. I'll suddenly change the whole scene on the set. And with her, it was the same thing. Because you're receiving, you're open to improvisations, because at that moment you're alive. The whole set is there, the lighting is there, actors are there, co-actors are there. You're in costume, you're that person now. So I want to suddenly improvise. So the ability to improvise, the ability to live that moment rather than study it on paper and come prepared. And I don't like too much preparation. It has to be spontaneous. So she's a very spontaneous actor. So both of us are just improvising on the spot. And I had such a blast working with her. You get fulfilled as a director to have an actor like that who is so committed without excess baggage. Of my vans, of my 17 people coming, of my 20 personal people coming, and that this demand, my food will come from there. Nothing.
Yeah.
There was just a complete surrender to what she wanted to do. She wanted to perform this role and perform it at her best, and that comes without excess baggage. Excess baggage today in the industry is a huge matter of that baggage the producer or the director has to pay for, and it's very, very tiring and gruesome. So the director producer lose the connect because there are so many other things that are coming in the way. So the love for each other, I think, is one of the biggest reasons why this performance has happened.
Definitely, sir. So something about the writing part of it. I believe Utkarshini has collaborated with you. So be the screenplay, many dialogues, many scenes which are absolutely spectacular and lasting. They'll be discussed. I think one can take out individual scenes and talk about them for hours, for that matter. How important is the writing portion? Do you enjoy that portion?
Oh, completely. It was a 30-page book. And when I told Zaidi that I want to buy the rights of Gangubai, he said, why Gangubai? There are so many other nice stories in the book.
Sapna is...
Yeah, there were many other stories. I said, no, Gangubai. I feel that is the woman with that angst, with that anger, with that deprived of her dignity, and she fights for it. So I have great respect for this character you've created. You've raised, through that book, the questions that she raised then in 40s and 50s. You're celebrating her life so that she doesn't get lost and forgotten. One more time it reminded me that, oh, there was a woman who stood up for these women. And she made the Azad Maidan speech and said, give these women, legalize their profession, give them dignity, etc., etc., etc. So it was celebrating that life. So Gangu is a very important film in terms of no compromise, making the film that I want to, celebrating that woman, and that's it. I can talk about Gangubai for hours. Even if that's not a question, I'll keep answering something else.
No, please go ahead, sir. Sir, you have a very natural sense of humor that shows in your films. That particular scene that pura China ke muh mein ghusayega, I think it is absolutely hilarious, and people tend to have a great time in the theaters. What is your idea of a sense of humor? Because many a times sense of humor is inserted in movies, as you mentioned, projects, that yahan par hame hasana hai types. But your sense of humor, it flows very organically, as if it is coming from your own personal life itself. That natural element, do you think it connects with the people?
All my one-liners in my office, which are my favorites of my whole team that works with me, they wait for that one-liner that comes. So sometimes it is wicked, sometimes it is hilarious to a certain extent, and Alia is always falling down behind the monitor, or Ranveer is always falling down behind the monitors. And my people around me, they love me for it. If they don't come, then they feel something is wrong and that I'm not in mood or whatever. And when in the film, when you put in humor, it should come naturally. I felt like saying that. Again, a great team of writers. Utkarshini wrote, Prakash Bhai wrote the dialogue. There were two other people that wrote additional dialogue. And we would all just vibe, how will this character, this character, Gangu, had a great temperament and personality which we enjoyed writing. In terms of attitude of speaking, in terms of laughing at the moment we're not supposed to laugh, at the times hitting a wicked line, and have a subtle layered sense of humor in the situation which is the most gruesome. And I'd always thought it would never reach people. For example, when she says, you're a journalist, you're Faizi, I'm prostitute Gangubai. Now, I thought that was very funny, and yet tremendous pride in who she is, and that's a fight. That's what she, in that one line, says, if you're a journalist and you're proud of yourself, I'm a prostitute, I'm proud of myself, and let's shake hands. So within that anger, within that with the angst that she had, there was a humor, there was a lightness, and that's why I enjoyed making the film, because it's a dark subject, but it's got a lot of sunshine in it. It's interesting of how they laugh at themselves, how they laugh at things, how they fool around with Faizi, how they fool around with, how she fools around with Sheila. There is a lot of sunshine, and that's the best way to live life. Because whatever circumstances you are in, you must be able to laugh at yourself and the situation, and only then can you overcome it. So I feel humor is very important. If you do not have humor, you cannot reach people, you cannot be a good artist, you cannot be an accomplished artist. Humor is very important.
The idea is that you're not merely directing. you're also writing at the same time. You're composing music for your films, and they are spectacular. The songs are spectacular. How do you compartmentalize your various departments, sir?
Writing most important. You asked me about writing before, and my answer went somewhere else. But yes, writing is very important. I wrote with Utkarshini the screenplay 7 years ago, and then over 7 years it is corrected and corrected and corrected and made tighter and remove excess unnecessary things. So writing, and there's a character fleshed out. Right. Then the music comes in immediately. The song starts coming into my mind. So I took out a song which was made 10 years ago, Jab Saiyan Aaye Shaam Ko. That was made 10 years ago. And I felt it found the right place over here, and how would I shoot it? So again, choreography becomes an important part. So I sit with Kruti, and then we brainstorm and oh, Jab Saiyan was the most difficult song I've shot, because it really was challenging as to how to hold that song without them singing and without them lip syncing, etc. Then you come to art direction, which is again a very important place for me to be in terms of colors and the structures, and architecture is a very important part of my filmmaking. I love architecture. So how to create Brothels of Kamatikpura, and how do you texture it, and how do you not paint it and yet get color, and yet it is so subtle it merges with the costumes. So costumes become a very important. Yeah. How do I pick up her sari for that particular scene on where we have placed it? So that's costume selection over there from all the saris, and I'll go and pick up the right costume depending on what will look nice with the wall behind and what will look nice in the mood of the scene. Etc., etc. What colored flower should go in, to how will we say the line, and then to how will we move the camera. There's so many things that a filmmaker does. So you're always very engrossed, and I'm in a meditative state when I'm doing all these things. I love every minute of it. It's not trying to control it. I enjoy doing every minute of it. And therefore on the set, sometimes when I'm meditative and some assistant makes some mistake or something doesn't fall into place, the whole cart topples for me, because I have to come back to that state again where only that shot matters, that moment matters, and then I have to rebuild myself again. So sometimes people say I get angry on the set and all that, but if you're on meditation and somebody pushes you hard, and how do you feel about it? So and I'm happy that I'm a little temperamental as a director. I feel for the shot. I have a great equation with the unit where I can tell them what are you doing, and without them feeling bad or without me feeling guilty about it. This exchange of free flowing ideas, only then can the director emerge where he says, I'm committed to this shot and I will get it the way I want to under any circumstances. And that is where the director, I feel I succeed because I work very hard. I am working for many, many more hours than I've worked in Padmavat. And in Padmavat, I worked many, many more hours than I worked in Bajirao Mastani. So as I'm moving ahead, I'm working more and more hard. And the people around me getting a little fed up of me, because I only want work and work and work. Because only then can you find excellence. You can search for excellence. You can never find excellence. It's a myth that I found excellence and I found perfection. You can never find it. But you pursue it. You run after it. You search for it. So yeah, I've been blessed to have a great team and great love for my work, to be able to make the films I want to and be the director that I am, whatever I am, good, bad, whatever.
No, fabulous. And the best part is that you're surprising your audience with each passing films. Padmavat, after Padmavat, you're having a completely different subject, which is fascinating. We've taken a few fan questions on Twitter. I think that they're really fascinating. Let's see what people are talking about the film. And apart from that, this is Sanyukta from Mumbai. So please ask SLB which scene in Gangubai Kathiawadi was the toughest to shoot. Also, how his opinion about Alia Bhatt has changed after the film.
Alia Bhatt, I realized her potential when she walked into my house when she was 9 years old for a small role of the small girl in black. When I knew that this was a great actor that has walked into my house, instinct, and just what I saw in the eyes. And when we tried to work in Inshallah and didn't fall into place, she was heartbroken. The there was a chance to work with Sanjay, and I thought I had a chance to work with a new actor after a long time, and I had wanted to make a film with her then. So when we worked, when Inshallah didn't happen, we were both heartbroken. But when Gangubai happened, I didn't realize I was working with, I knew I was working with a good actor, but I didn't know I was working with such a good actor. That whole performance that she's in the film, she has lived that role as much as I've lived Gangu. I've lived Gangubai, the film, like I've lived my life. I've given it every minute of my thought from morning to night to, even during the lockdown, I would memorize the entire film, rerun the whole one line every day, systematically, and then spontaneously say, I want to do this or listen to some song. She also lived it through the lockdown and didn't let it go. And I was working with an actor who said, "You're my director, I'll go along with you, I'll stand by you, I will prove you that you were right and you'll be proud of me." And I think I'm extremely proud of the Indian industry having an actor like Alia. And what was the first question?
Which scene in Gangubai Kathiawadi is your favorite?
Everything. I mean, Gangubai was the most difficult film I've made in my life because it was walking the line. It was walking the thin line. Anything that can go wrong as it is not a very, very mainstream subject, and therefore to be able to make a film and yet not be insensitive and yet be sensitive and yet reach every line, every dialogue. Every time I put the frame and composed the shot, everyone was difficult. So, but if I would say the most difficult one that I thought had to be right was the first time she comes to the door and stands when she is forced into prostitution. And the first time she comes and stands. If I had gotten that scene wrong, then nothing would have worked. So that was a very important one. And the phone call to the mother. Because I put it onto one shot and Alia was like, "Are you serious that I have to do this in one shot?" And I said, "Yes, because if I cut, it will not be the same. It will not reach the people of the extent of nerves of hearing your mother's voice, right up to the operator coming and disconnecting your phone. If I cut and put, it will never work." And for her to do that in one shot, incredible. So these two were the last procession, which is again a very, very important to celebrate Gangubai.
Yeah, that's true.
That woman would have otherwise been lost and forgotten into oblivion, obviously because she was in the brothels and she didn't matter to anybody or civil society at all. There we celebrated her and said, "This is your process will continue in our minds." So that was a very difficult one, because that's the climax of the film. It's a 7 minute of without dialogue, only on music and a little voiceover to hold a climax of the film. So few people thought that I was out of my head to say that's the climax of the film, but I think that tribute will remain etched in my mind. And then that Garba Dholida shot, the climax, which I thought of the Garba and I said, I don't know how will we achieve that trance or that catharsis of this woman who misses her mother and therefore she's worshipping the mother goddess and therefore she feels that she's now become the mother to all these women. There were so many texts to it and layers, and when she performed and got it, oh my God, I told Alia, I said, "This is the shot that I'll take to my grave," because that is what an actor does. Complete abandon, complete liberation, complete generation of generating power, which is so rare to see on the screen. So, and how it reached the people. So these are some of the most difficult, and I think the whole film. So I can go on.
No, definitely. So talking about her performance, I think it's such a nuanced performance. Each time you'll see it, there are more nuances that you can find from it. I think no one knows better about music than you. So in classical music, there's this element of shrutiyan, sub notes which are there, and that is something that we are seeing that she is hitting those notes. And one aspect that I can just mention to you is her voice modulation. The way she says, like, "Aakhir mein that bhai," or like even apart from that, the way many a times the way she is modulating her voice, it is brilliant.
She has picked up a lot of my language. I normally say, "Lana bhai." So this is my language in the office or when I'm operating. When I'm doing an interview, I'm far more well behaved and I speak very properly. But otherwise, that's my language, and that's the language we gave Gangu, and she would watch me. And then she knew when to use bhai. By the time we were doing it, she knew when to use that word and how to use it and what is the how is it going to connect with the word bhai and that. So she found a lot of those nuances which are, and she's an artist who is who's unaware of that moment. When she's doing a lot of shrutis that you're talking of, those nuances between the two lines or the two looks and those that add to the entire effect of what she's trying to say. I had once asked Lataji, I said, "Lataji, that one song you took, that one place which is very nice, वो जगह आपने ली, बहुत अच्छी थी वो कला." I said, "कहाँ मालूम, वो तो उस वक्त गाते गाते ले ली, वो तो आमद होती है, वो तो आती है ले गा लिया." कोई बताया नहीं जाता, कुछ इंस्टिंक्ट है कि कैसे फ्लो में स्ट्रक्चर करके वो जब नाउ इज द राइट टाइम टू टेक दैट वन लिटिल मूवमेंट व्हिच इफ द को-सिंगर डजंट नो और द म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर डजंट नो, दैट इज व्हाई that's how a singer or an actor contributes in his own way to the shot or to a song. So she is that accomplished actor who understands naturally. You will ask her to analyze it, I don't think she'll know what to say. Half the time she's been aware of all the good things, and sometimes when I get happy I give her 500 ka note and say, "Ye 500 ka note bahut acha shot diya." Obviously it's just a way of saying 500 ka note. I never gave her the 500 ka note. It's all accumulated and piled up in my account, but My way of saying that that moment, but I think she's mostly unaware because she flows, and that is an actor that matters to me. I don't like actors who are studied and prepared and preparing for a role, and I'm going to now give it a shot, and I'm going to do this. Just come. The director said, do it, do it. You're ready to do anything, anytime because you've understood the character in its entirety for you to get up in the middle of the night and say, come and say this dialogue and it would just flow. I'm not prepared for this scene. I want to prepare for this scene. All this hogwash that a lot of actors, sometimes you hear from people. Alia is one actor who just is liberating and for the director because I feel I can do anything with her. I can just suddenly say, let's do this, and she'll just suddenly get up and start doing it for you. So those nuances that you talk about, those are God's gift. Those you cannot analyze. And
So Urvashi, each and every frame in Gangubai was so beautiful that I can take screenshot and use on my laptop as background pic. How do you do this? Have you thought anything about your new film, sir? How long will we have to wait? So she's saying that every frame is, she can take a screenshot and place it.
Frame for me is sacrosanct. If you do not have a visual sense, then you should not be a filmmaker because you have to tell your thing. I may not be articulate. There could be many other people who do this interview far better than I would do and speak so well and layered and all that. But my language is that of the film. So when I speak through the film, how do I express what that scene is going to say through the frame? Therefore, if the first time she's sitting and painting herself in the brothel, when the girls are all sitting on the bench, that composition, that choreography of how to place people, that is a lot of importance I give it to it. And what color? We painted the background, that whole, we waited for 3 hours for it to dry, put the wallpaper which was went on and all that, we wanted it that way. And how to construct that one shot, I don't know if you remember the first time she's sitting and putting powder on the face.
Of course.
Now that frame is one of my favorite frames. And I went, that was the first shot of the film we took. And every frame after that mattered to me because it had to be like a painting and the impressions of what my childhood, I remember Kamatipura as going to school every day through those lanes. So it was my watercolor impressions of my mind, which is cinematically inclined, to find that frame and say, yeah, I think I got the mood and the color and the clothes hanging. Each cloth that was hanging was placed with the color designed to see how the door in front of which it is hanging is correctly placed. How each blouse is worn. Every artist that would stand together, we would take 2 hours to finally pick the whole combination because that would eventually turn around to make it a painting and in the palette that we've chosen for the film. Then obviously Shudip does great lighting and he's such a fantastic cinematographer. So he lights, so Shubhroto and Amit doing great art behind. So when you make a film, there is such wonderful talent standing by you and executing your vision. But yes, for me, frame is extremely sacrosanct. So if you do not have a visual language and do not tell your scene through one shot without having to cut to 5 other shots and 5 other dialogues, then I think you're finding the rhythm as a filmmaker. If you look at the frames of all the great filmmakers way behind Kiasif, and they're all paintings, they're all frames which they were filmmakers. So that is very important.
This is Karan from Delhi. Will we see SLB collaborating with Salman Khan as inshallah got shelved? Is there any chance for you both coming together again in future?
Salman is a very dear friend, and I wanted to work with him after Padmavat. I put my best foot forward to make it happen. For whatever reasons, it didn't turn out. We all change as people. So he has changed. In his mind, I have changed. So I think the day we find, of course, if I pick up the phone and talk to him, he will talk to me exactly the way we've spoken in between also. He'll talk to me exactly from where we've left. So it's not picking up a relationship or we are strangers or we do not like each other or we do not speak to each other. My utmost regard and respect for the person who did Khamoshi for me, who did Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam for me, and who stood by in Savariya. So he's been a very, very important part of who I am today, and I will always respect him for it. That the ball is in his court for him to decide if he wants to work with me, and if it's God willing, inshallah, agar chahiye to, agar hona hai to hoga wo.
This is Aarti Tiwari from Pune. Hi sir, congrats for such a spectacular and heart-touching film. Deepika and Alia are two of the best actresses in our country right now. How would you differentiate amongst them as a director?
They're different people, they have different approaches, they have different heights, they have different voices, they have different body language, they have different approach to cinema. So all that put together, Deepika is a beautiful girl, wonderful actor. For me, Alia is a very beautiful girl, again a wonderful actor. But if I have to do Bajirao Mastani, then I will have to have Deepika play it. And if I'm doing Gangubai, then I have to have Alia play it. So each one has his own power that they exude when they finally take a role that suits them, that you do not give the wrong role to the wrong actor, because it's important to, not that in the same breath I'll say that Alia could not have played Mastani or Deepika could not have played Gangubai. But I feel that what casting I've done, keeping their own is the right casting. So what Alia did for this role, only Alia could have done. And what Deepika did in those roles, only Deepika could have done. So both are great actors, both are wonderful girls.
This is Rahul Tahiliani from Ahmedabad. How different your new web show Hira Mandi will be, as we've seen your movie. They are larger than life. The same legacy is going to go forward in OTT space as well. And what new challenges you think you're going to face in the web space?
I have not thought of any challenges that I'll come through. Challenges is finally any filmmaking you do, whether for the web, for the OTT platform, for the big screen. The challenges remain the same according to me. How is it going to be different for me? Yes, because it's going to be a long 9-hour series that we're going to make, 9 episodes. I'm excited about it. I really don't want to talk much about it. It's going to be a very big canvas again put onto the OTT platform. That's why Netflix and we have collaborated. It's again a very, very difficult one to make. Once again, I think I've taken the challenge. I hope it all turns out the way I want to. Of course, I'll make sure that it turns out the way I want it to. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Hira Mandi, because it's nice to go into the OTT platform space also, because it's a new thing where people access your work and cinema is going to be watched. It's the future of filmmaking also to a great extent, so it'll be nice. But I'll never leave the big screen, and I hope it always remains as important to all filmmakers, and yet do the platform, because it's a great exposure, the amount of people that will see, and therefore the responsibility of making that show the way it should be. And that was the first time that I'll be doing it. So I'll be giving it my all, is all I can say.
Right. And sir, you'll be directing certain episodes, and Mitakshara is directing.
I'm doing episode 1, and then the rest of the episodes are going to be directed by 2 other directors.
All right, fantastic. So huge honor to talk to you once again, and congratulations for the fantastic response for Gangubai. And I think it's just started. So I loved it.
This is the time to celebrate Gangubai, celebrate Alia Bhatt, celebrate all these very, very special women in life and in the film industry. So God bless her, and I love her for what she's done.
So in fact, I have one more question. Let me ask you now, because I think, so what I felt about while watching the film, that this entire context of Kamatipura, you are looking at it with a sense of heightened empathy. There is no salaciousness in that. Like it's been part of your childhood. I found that very fascinating, because it could have that element of salaciousness. It's not there. There's that empathy. You feel their pain. You can feel their pain.
I did not want to exploit them or watch them from a distance. I had to be with them. Every time I have seen them from close quarters, which I have seen all my childhood, it is important for me to then take the right stand, to be in the right place and the right perspective with the camera to tell that film. Otherwise, it would have been a dishonest film from my end. I picked up Gangubai because it connected somewhere deep down to the chords of what I was as a person, 30 years of my life that I lived there. It was a tribute to those, it was celebrating those women who would have lived that gruesome life, and I never wanted to show any gruesomeness either to what was happening to them. I didn't want to exploit them on the screen any further, because I thought it's nice to keep it a little simpler and watch with those eyes that I usually saw them with.
Exactly.
And that was a difficult part of making this film, because that's the thin line I'm talking about. That's where this becomes the most difficult film that I've made, because there was a responsibility, there was heart, there was catharsis, because I was telling something that I had wanted to tell for so many years. And when you get a subject which becomes cathartic, then the director or the story writer, we all give us complete souls. Then there is no holding back. Mm-hmm. It's like the first and the last film that you are making. You give it all. So that kind of catharsis that I felt in this film, that's why Gangubai becomes very, very special to me.
Absolutely. So thank you very much, sir. And I hope that this entire press continues for many, many weeks and months to come. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
That's all we have from Bollywood Hungama. Keep on watching.